Hi guys, I'm Phil Town from Rule 1 Investing, and today I want to talk to you guys about what to do if you find yourself running low on money in retirement. Now this is a really interesting problem. So the first thing is you should be checking out the want ads at Walmart and McDonald's. I'm just kidding. We're going to have a better idea than that. So think about this. 28% of Americans age 55 or older have no money saved for retirement, and 17% have less than $10,000. So that's effectively about, 35% of Americans 55 years or older don't have any shot at retirement whatsoever, except on whatever they've got in Social Security. So you've been preparing for the better part of your life to be able to live in retirement, maybe, but a prominent fear of many people who are sitting in retirement right now is that they're going to outlive their retirement savings. And a couple of things are working against that, right? I mean, first off, people are living longer than we ever have before. When Social Security was first put in place back in the 1930s, the average person lived to be 65 years old. Now, I grant you that's a statistical warped thing, right? Because anybody that dies at 2 years old allows somebody to live to be 80, and the average is 40 or 6 or something like that. So you end up with essentially a program that was designed to pay off to very few people, because on average most people didn't live to be 65 years old and everybody was paying into it. Today people are living into their late 70s and early 80s on average, and many people are living into their 90s. They simply don't have enough money to keep up with the cost of living changes that are going on. So here's what you can do if you find yourself behind on your retirement saving or running low while you're in retirement. So if you already have money in the stock market, a really popular thing that most advisors will suggest for you to do is you take your money out when you retire and invest it in something a lot less risky like bonds. Now they're going to probably recommend you do some sort of ratio, and the older you get, the bigger the ratio leans toward bonds. And the reason they do that is pretty simple, right? You're going to have to pull money out of something. They want you to kind of have laddered bonds that are going to expire in time for you to get the cash. Whereas if you have your money in stocks, it's possible, in fact, I would argue in this market it's even likely, that the stock market will go down aggressively. And if you have to sell stocks after they've dropped like a brick, then you really are eliminating a lot of the money you would have had down the road. So the reason that I'm not excited about that concept is because when you shift your money over from stocks to bonds, what you're doing is you're reducing your rate of return. If you're in the stock market and you're making, let's say you're actually actively investing and you're making 15% a year, shifting your money over to bonds is a disaster. You end up doing 5% or 4%, or in this market 3%. So I mean, which would you rather have, 15% a year or 3%? But of course the problem is when you've got your money in stocks, you've got this problem with the stock market going up and down, and you don't want to sell stuff when it's down. So how can you generate more cash flow in retirement without changing your stock portfolio? And what I would say for that is you should look deeply into some very, very safe and very, very smart options trades that produce cash flow. For example, if you sell puts and effectively are willing to buy more stock from that company, you can generate cash flow with very low risk. And if you're willing to sell calls against your stock, you can generate cash flow with very little risk, if any at all. So you can start to create cash flow by knowing a little bit more about how to use short-term trades in order to generate cash without changing your stock portfolio at all. The real reason we don't spend a lot of time talking about options isn't that they're risky, although obviously the way most people invest in our trade in options is very risky. We do it where our probability of success is often 93, 94% likelihood we're going to make money, 95% likelihood we'll make money. We do those kinds of trades, but the problem is you really need to be educated in this. You really need to really get a good grounding. It's not something we talk about outside of our transformational workshops, but at the transformational workshops, we do talk about it. So if you get a chance to join us in Atlanta for 3 days, you will learn a great deal about how to generate cash flow. You also want to do this other thing that's important. You want to prioritize your changes in your retirement portfolio to maximize your long-term benefits. So, for example, if you're trying to think of where to put money, maxing out your IRAs as you're coming toward retirement, saving as much as you absolutely can, and doing it in a way where you're saving pre-tax dollars is really important to generating a lot of capital available for when you're retired. Also, you got to start thinking about reducing spending. A lot of people spend money on dumb things for dumb reasons. We really need to cut back on buying a new car, leasing cars, feeling like you got to live in this great place. You know, I understand the pressure to kind of keep up with everybody, but the fact of the matter is, I run into people in New York all the time who are crazy to be living in New York City. I mean, the cost of New York City is enormous. They're not making enough money to be there, but they're sort of locked in. They're sort of culturally incapable of changing where they live. Whereas if they lived out in someplace like, I don't know, Utah or Wyoming or Montana or Iowa, on the amount of money they make, they'd be living great. We're looking at houses out here in San Diego. My gosh, what you'd spend $1 million here in San Diego would buy you a horse ranch in Atlanta. So maybe think about moving someplace. If it's trouble saving money where you live, maybe think about moving someplace, and cutting down your debt is another place you can go. Just cut down your debt as fast as you can to get out from under serious interest payments. That is going to help trim your monthly expense, probably really help stretch your money in the long run. Now, the next thing I think is you really need to learn how to invest. If you're stuck with the only possibility of investing is to simply buy long-term stock positions, you really are in trouble. You need to learn how to do Rule 1 investing, and you need to start investing properly. If you've stopped investing while you're in retirement and your money isn't growing as fast as it should, or not at all, you're really hurting yourself for the long run. You're going to be in a position where it's going to be very hard to survive at the cost of living in your 80s. Remember, when you're figuring out what it's going to cost you to live, basically double it every 20 years, and that's what it's going to be. So there's a lot going on when we think about how to take care of retirement going down the road, especially if you're already retired. I tell you, the most important thing you can do is learn to invest and learn how to generate cash flow out of that retirement portfolio you've already got, and how to make sure that next time the market doesn't cooperate with you and go up, and the next time the market drops, you've got your money out of there so you can benefit from those big drops and really accelerate your rate of return. That's what we talk about in the Transformational Investing Workshop. Hope you get a chance to come. Now, I'd like to hear from you guys. What tips do you have about saving more money, especially if you're already retired? So leave a comment below with your answer. I'll be sure to follow up with you. So thanks for watching, you guys, and now go play. See ya. And if you enjoyed this video and you think it was valuable teaching you more about ruling your financial future, I'd love it if you subscribe to my channel and share this video with your friends or anybody that might benefit from it. And to learn how much money you actually need to save, then go to my free retirement calculator, and you can figure it out right there just by clicking this link on the screen here or in the description.